Over the last few years, you've probably been hearing more and more about the idea of influencer marketing. So you may be wondering, what is that? I hear a lot of big brands are into influencer marketing. I'm a small brand, I'm a regional brand, I'm a local shop. Is that something that I can do? Is it something I should even look into? And how would I go about that? Let's break it down. Good Marketing Minute. So influencer marketing, in a nutshell, is the idea that there is a person who has a following of some sort. And sometimes it's multiple people, but let's just focus on one for now. There's one person who on their own has their own following. People love to listen to their thoughts on a certain area, topic, or lifestyle, whatever it is. And the idea is you as a brand are going to approach them to see if they would be willing to endorse your product. They can do that very obviously, they can do that very subtly, but one way or the other, they are basically going to use their influence, they're an influencer, to get people to like your product more. It's a really powerful way of gaining trust with an audience that maybe isn't that familiar with you. Years ago, we leaned heavily on reviews. Now there's been certain scandals on Amazon or on Google about these mass review shops who review products all day long. Basically, you can pay to have your products reviewed, and it's not real people. Word of mouth has always been this great tactic in getting people to trust your product before they even know you. Influencer marketing is probably just one of the newest ways that we leverage someone that we trust to experience a new product. And so when you're on the business side of that, you're looking for that person. Who is it that people trust that they would be willing to incorporate our product into what it is they're sharing with their audience? There are some companies that have had some great success with influencer marketing. Invisalign has done a lot with influencer marketing in the last few years. Audible has done a lot with influencer marketing. Nike has done a lot with influencer marketing. You really get a lot of traction in getting the next generation of athletes or the next generation of readers to adopt your product when they feel like all of the leaders they look up to really value that product. So when you're thinking about this as a regional business or as a small business, you're probably wondering, is it even worth it for me? I mean, we're talking about individuals that sometimes have millions of followers. I mean, what type of value as a small business will I ever be able to bring them that they would agree to that relationship? So some of the things to be aware of inside of influencer marketing that might make this more appetizing to you while also making you a little bit more aware of some of the dangers are the idea that influencer marketing is a broad brush, right? It doesn't have to be an influencer that has millions of followers to somehow qualify. It could even be an influencer with hundreds of followers. It just really depends on the product you're selling and who this person is and why people are following them. It could be 800 followers, but it could be 800 followers that really value what this person has to say. And if you're a regional business and this person exists in your region, that's going to be even a greater advantage than trying to get someone with hundreds of thousands of followers that they don't actually live in your area. And so influencer marketing does not have anything to do with scale necessarily, except when you're talking about large brands. It has more to do with influence itself. Where are you seeking to serve and where does this person already have influence? If there's enough crossover there, then it just makes sense. A couple dangers with influencer marketing. This is not like a typical sponsorship or partnership. Unfortunately, you're not really working with a corporation or a brand of multiple people, typically, that when some sort of conflict arises, or let's just say something personally happens in this person's life, a lot of times when you have an executive team or a board of directors, the reason you don't see companies do really outlandish and poorly thought through things on social media as often as you do people is because cooler heads prevail when there's a number of them, right? And so when you're partnering with an influencer, you just have to be aware of the fact that individuals sometimes do really stupid things. And you as an organization may be held accountable for getting into a partnership with an influencer who then goes on to do something really dumb with their own platform. So that's one potential danger. It's just something that you need to be aware of. Doesn't mean that it's not worth it. Doesn't mean that that's even likely to happen, but it is different than doing a co-sponsorship or even advertising, right? You are endorsing a private person, and whatever they do on their platform is going to be a reflection of you as a brand. So here's some tips on selecting a potential influencer. So I kind of already mentioned one, expertise. So in the area that you're seeking to serve, are there some influencers that have expertise in this area, right? That people already look to them for the free advice that they give them on topics like yours. The second would be reach. And I already said it's not necessarily a numbers game, it's how valuable those numbers are. And so you're probably not going to find someone that's in the millions, although you might. It's going to be hard to negotiate with them. They're going to have a lot of leverage over that. But finding someone who has more of a medium-sized audience, but a really valuable one, is going to be a better fit for you anyways. The third one is customer segment. Obviously, are they just a good fit in this area? I mean, how well do they align specifically with your target segment? And then the fourth one is notoriety. The fact that someone has a following doesn't always mean that they are loved by their following. And so you do have to be wise about the information you collect ahead of time before you select an influencer. Sometimes an influencer you're going to find that has 10,000 followers, it's because they do things that are really divisive. And people are attracted to that. They want to watch what this person is going to do or say next. Just looking at their following count, just realizing that they operate in a similar space to you, that's not a great reason to endorse them and to want them to endorse your product, because you're going to end up looking like you're condoning their behavior. That's not something you're going to want to do. So notoriety is an important thing to be aware of with influencers. Just because they have a large audience doesn't mean the audience is always there because they love what the person has to say. They might just be watching a fire. I would not go to focus on the largest possible influencers. You're going to have much more success finding medium and small influencers. Their expectations are going to be a lot more realistic. It's going to be easier to work with them. And they're probably going to be very grateful. They're not going to get as many opportunities as someone that's in the millions with their follower count. If they only have, high hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of followers, and you're approaching them to be an influencer and you're bringing them some real value, they're going to be really excited about that, and they're going to be really grateful. That's going to be a good partnership for both of you. Bring real value to them. They do have a platform, even though they're not necessarily a business or a company in the way that you are a business or a company. They have put in sweat equity to build this audience. And so you wouldn't want to approach them with something disrespectful. You wouldn't want to approach them with some sort of half-hearted offer, expecting that they're just going to, be over the moon and just want to endorse you right there. You don't want to be offensive in what you're trying to offer them. So bring them some real value. If you have a physical product that they can try, send them that product for free. Don't give them a discount on it. Don't tell them that, if they get 10 people to sign up, then they don't have to pay for it themselves. Unless you have a really expensive product, it's just not going to be worth the headache. You're going to get a lot of rejections, probably very, very few acceptance, and the ones that you do get, you probably don't want. And so bring some real value. Be willing to invest in this creator. Next, I would say find some fair terms, right? You need to figure out, how is this person going to get paid, and how are we going to know that we're getting a good return on our investment? So are they going to get paid based on the number of times that they post? Are they going to get paid on the number of times they put us in their story? You got to know kind of the language that you're speaking here. Are they going to get paid by the number of times that someone uses the specific promo code that has their name in it, so we can attribute that lead back to them? And then set a realistic time frame, right? Don't have this go, in perpetuity. How long are you going to try this for? And then you can renegotiate your terms based on how the campaign went. The last thing I would say is be kind and be wise. You are the business person approaching the influencer. you just need to be aware of the fact that these influencers oftentimes are maybe they're young adults that don't have a ton of experience in business. Maybe they're stay-at-home parents that also aren't used to hard negotiation tactics. Or maybe they're just self-starters that they have built this thing themselves. They really know what they're talking about in this area, but they don't necessarily have realistic expectations sometimes of what it's like to work with a business. And so think of yourself almost in a parenting role, and that's not meant to be disrespectful, but help them understand realistic expectations of this is how you're going to follow up with them. This is how you're going to make sure you're getting a good return on your investment. This is what success looks like for both parties. It might sound like a little childish that you would have to do that. But again, this isn't like a sponsorship. This isn't like partnering on different businesses, especially if you're focusing on medium and small creators. Maybe you don't know a lot about this space. Maybe they don't know a lot about this space, but either way, you're the business person and you're the one coming with the offer. So just make sure that you're really clear on expectations that will set both of you up for success. Because the influencer is going to have the tendency to agree to the most favorable terms and to just want to jump in with very little accountability. You have to remember, a lot of these influencers are going to be millennials like me. We don't love accountability. And so if you want to pay us or give us a product to talk about, we'll talk about it. And then at the tail end, if all of a sudden you want to hold us accountable to how much product we sold or how frequently we talked about it, that's going to leave a sour taste in someone's mouth. And it's not that it's not a fair conversation. It's just maybe that those expectations need to be set up in the beginning. Otherwise, they'll just get glossed over. You might think it's obvious, but maybe they don't. So be kind and be wise and realize that this is something that both of you can really benefit from if you go about it in the right way. So that's influencer marketing. We kind of focus specifically on Instagram in 2020. I think it's a great and viable plan for many small, medium, regional companies. The approach is slightly different, right? You're approaching people that might not be classified as influencers to the mass market. Doesn't matter, right? If they're people that can be influencers to the audience you're trying to reach, then go for it. That's influencer marketing. Hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, I would love it if you would like and share this video with someone else you think that might get some value out of it. And don't forget, if you haven't already, to subscribe so I know that you're getting some value out of it and you want some more of these videos.